But okay. Here we go.
Hey besties, welcome to the With Friends podcast. I'm your host, Allie. Joining me on today's episode are Katie, who you all know.
Hey y'all.
And we have a new friend that we are, I guess this is your first, we're like...
Introductory.
Yeah, this is the first episode. Christening, that's the word I was looking for. Please join me in welcoming new friend of the podcast, Emily.
Woo!
Yay!
Hello, welcome, thank you.
We're very excited to have Emily on the podcast. And because Emily is a first timer, we have to have her properly introduce herself on the podcast. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and a fun fact or two.
My name is Emily, and I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. I've just moved here to North Carolina about 2 years ago. And my fun fact is that, let's see here. I have been to 4 of the 7 continents.
Oh, nice.
That is fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Indeed.
jealous. What's been one of your most favorite places that you've been?
I would say Kenya. When I went to Kenya, that was like a lifelong, that was on my bucket list, and I got to cross it off. So
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yes, and Katie and Emily know each other. They work together, which is how I met Emily. And now she is one of us. She's in the pod squad. And because we are slowly converting her into the pod squad, she was kind enough to join Katie and I, along with another friend, on a recent adventure that was definitely out of my comfort zone because it was a more sophisticated type of thing that we went to do.
It was something that could have been really like on the further end of the spectrum. It could have been too hoity-toity.
Yes.
And we may not have liked it, but thankfully it was not.
It was perfect. It was just the right amount of hoity-toity.
And it was spur of the moment. Not, oh, this is happening tomorrow, let's go. But I think we did plan, like I saw a post and then it was for the next weekend or 10 days from then, and we were all just, let's do it.
Yeah, it didn't have
really
too
know
much
much about
time
it.
to think about it, which is a good thing. And my voice was just cracked. But we had afternoon tea at Stork's Rest Farm at the Manor House Tea Room, I think is the proper name of where we went. And there's a whole story behind the name that I'm not going to repeat because I don't remember it exactly, but it had to do something with, it was once they teach etiquette and...
They teach etiquette, but it's called the Stork's Rest Farm because the very nice lady who opens her house to people for weddings and events and all kinds of stuff, and tea and etiquette and all that kind of neat things. He was an obstetrician, so he brought babies into this world. So it's called Stork's Rest. That's where they wanted to go for their rest, their downtime.
Yeah, and the manor house because they teach the etiquette classes and things like that. But yes, we went and we had afternoon tea at Stork's Rest Farm, which is located in rural North Carolina, like Wilson County. Yeah, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but absolutely beautiful house. And I think they're a pretty popular wedding venue, but they also have, again, the manor house, the tea room, where you can have cream, afternoon, royal, and high tea. So you have a variety of choices if you want to have tea. And I think you could rent out the entire tea room. I think she said it fits about like 16 people. So if you wanted to have just a big ass tea party or like a wedding reception or
they were talking about bridal showers,
you could do all that there.
Yeah.
Beautiful, like the grounds, they have a huge garden, and then they also offer like etiquette and protocol classes. So those are, I think they're primarily geared towards people who are traveling to other countries that might want to learn like the proper way to have tea in another country and
just not how to not make a fool out of yourself.
Yeah. I definitely could have used a class or two prior to my trip to Scotland, because I went to a proper tea room in Scotland and had no idea what the fuck was going on. So definitely could have used that.
Did you do the cardinal sin, it appears? Were you sopping?
I did not sop. I did not dip anything into my tea because I was too scared to get tea.
Oh, you didn't even
Because it was
tea?
so complicated
Oh, no.
that I went with a latte because I was like, at least I understand how to drink this properly.
Uh-huh.
And I was surrounded by people with like, in their like tea attire.
Yeah.
And
Traveler grubbies.
yeah, I'd just gotten off the plane
Yeah.
after flying for like days. And they had 5-tier.
Oh, nice.
Like it was like a full like
Oh.
afternoon tea.
Yeah.
And I was
it high
like,
tea?
was not high tea. No champs were had. Champagne. I wish.
No, that's royalty.
Oh.
High tea is like the big, it has a lot of food.
Oh, it's like the meats
And
and
it's-
stuff. Yeah.
Like where it's like, this is a lot of stuff. Because that's when the dudes would all go to the
The
bar.
bar.
High bars.
That's
and
right.
Get the, we did
No.
learn that.
No.
See, so we learned some history. So Joan and her granddaughter Kelsey were great. Kelsey was serving us up all the deliciousness. And
Made
Joan,
from scratch.
Yeah, and with a lot of their like homegrown goods and all kinds of stuff, they have, like Allie said, gardens and all kinds of things. And then Joan would educate us, and she wasn't really like strict about things. She was very casual, but at the same time informative and just really nice about it all, and just gave us a quick little course on, okay, here's how we're gonna do this, and here's who's gonna pour the tea, and here's all the fun things you're gonna do. And then it was just basically like up to us to ask more questions. And what is this and how do we do this? And so she was all about it and told us all kinds of cool stories and stuff like that. So that was one of the things we learned, the history, like what is high tea versus
The
afternoon
names.
tea and how that all works out.
Yeah.
So it was really fun. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'd say we have 3 levels of tea drinkers between us. I'd say Katie's probably I would consider Katie a connoisseur of tea. You're a little more adventurous in your tea choices than I am. You have a tendency to go for like flowery teas.
Which is weird because I don't really like them super flowery. But I don't know. There's something weird. You know what? I did. Okay. We had a tea that popped up as a sample in our tea stuff. And I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. Allie drank. I wanted to drink it, and I didn't mention it, and Allie drank it by accident. But I didn't say anything to her, so that was my bad. But it was a sample that came with one. I just ordered some stuff that I had recently fallen in love with. And that was another thing we thought was cool. We have really gotten into Harney Sons Tea Company, and the tea that she served us on Saturday was from Harney Sons. We were like, oh,
Yes,
we're fancy.
Harney Sons, if you're looking, you want to sponsor me, yes, please. We'll take all the tea.
But I saw something in that tea ingredient list, the Paris, and it's got bergamot in it.
Oh, which is Earl Grey.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm gonna like it. So we were really
Oh.
talking about how much Allie thought I would like it, and then I was like, ooh, I don't know now. But
Yeah.
so to say that when I like to try teas, I will try at least 1 cup every time, of anything. I try to be like that, especially if I'm traveling. I say I'll just try everything once. As long as you don't tell me what it is up front, I'll usually eat it or drink it, and then be like, okay, now what was that? No, thank you.
Hard pass.
Never again. But yeah, I just know that sometimes I want a cup of tea, a nice good cup of hot tea, and sometimes I want exactly what I know, and then sometimes I'm just like, yeah, let's drink some weird ass shit.
Yeah, and you follow like the brewing instructions and everything, which
Oh yeah.
I am like, I don't know how to describe myself as a tea drinker. I stick with what I know, which is like dark teas, black teas, Irish, English, breakfast teas, Earl Grey, Lady Grey, meh. Not as adventurous as Katie, especially because I base a lot of my teas on smell. And so if it has a smell that I don't find appealing, it's really hard for me to drink. That's where I'm at with my tea drinking. I don't know.
But you also will just make a cup of hot, like 1 cup of hot tea after the other,
Yes,
because you are cold.
I drink it constantly.
Yeah, whereas I'm like, okay, well, I'll have a cup of hot tea, and then I try to get like either a cup of water, and then I'll have a cup of iced tea, because I'm a good Southern girl, I gotta drink my sweet tea.
Yeah, I drink tea continuously throughout the day.
Yes.
Like, I'm not made of 75. I guess tea is water, so never mind.
Yeah,
That was a done.
It's close enough. But you're drinking the quantity of tea that you're drinking. You're just drinking it to have liquid in you.
As I sit here with my cup of tea.
Yeah, we made sure to brew a cup before.
So Katie's, we'll say expert level.
I wouldn't say expert level, but
Katie's connoisseur level. I'm coffee tea drinker level, where it's just a continuous stream of tea. And then Emily is new to the tea drinking world. So
absolutely.
when did you just started drinking hot tea, right?
Yes. So I don't even know if I could call myself beginner, because previously I used to only drink like Lipton tea when I was sick, and my mom would make it for me and put honey in it to feel better, and that was like the only time that I would drink hot tea. I love iced tea, sweet tea. I've drank that for a long time, but hot teas, no. But I love them so much because like I love like British shows and movies, and so the most recent, what is that called, version of Emma was so good. I love it. And Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley is like absolutely one of my favorite movies ever. and I love Downton Abbey.
And tea, you gotta drink
they
tea.
love the tea, and they make it look so good, and so I'm like, oh, I want to try that. And so I definitely want to get more experienced, and I feel like you guys are a good crowd to help me learn.
Katie's been slowly, I think, introducing you to a variety of different teas, which we are drinking, I think, a pretty good variety of tea right now. Emily, why don't you kick us off? What kind of tea are you drinking right now?
I have the Harney Sons Oolong Pomegranate, and it's delicious.
Oolong.
Such a fun word to say.
It's such a nice. So typically, I wouldn't think that I was. So this is the one that I talked about. That was my most recent kind of faves, and that one came as a sample, and I didn't think I was gonna like it because it was pomegranate, and I said I'm not gonna like that. I don't like fruity stuff. But the smell is quite strong. Even Allie is, I don't know about that, but
smell it from here.
The oolong leaf is just so like smooth and subtle and like really chill, and then the pomegranate side to that tea is just, oh man, it's so nice to me. But you do have to pay attention to what you're doing. Like you can't scald it because it will just be like, okay, all right, I don't like that. But that's the thing that I have learned. And that's why I do try to, if not follow the instructions, because sometimes I find that following the instructions even makes it a little too bitter for me. I will go online, especially to the Harney page, because a lot of the commenters love tea. They are buying tea because they really love tea. And so if they're leaving a review for the tea, they will leave what they think is their perfect way to brew it for them. And so that's how I kind of base, like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to try it like this. Like, I might try it the way they tell me to, the actual company tells me to the first time. But then I'm like, I don't know. I feel like this could be a little better. And that's when I start combing through the reviews and stuff to see if other people have other temperatures or times and stuff like that.
That's way more effort than I'm willing to take.
I just feel
get to know my tea.
It's more of a
you're into it's like an art form.
It's more of it's a moment. Having that like really good like second or third sip of just a really nice steaming cup, not like scalding hot, but just being able to sit down and just
have a moment.
Just having that moment to yourself, just taking the time out of whatever's going on and saying, okay, I've made a cup of tea. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to enjoy it. Damn it. And part of that is making it taste good. And so we were just talking, Emily and I were just talking in the kitchen, because I said, which one do you want? And we were going through the tea tins and the bags and stuff. And I mentioned, oh, this is the white tea one. This is one I've given you before. And she goes, yeah, I took it home. And to be honest, I didn't like it. And that's totally fine. You don't have to. You don't have to like the tea that I like. That's what's so great about it. There's so much tea out there. You don't have to like the same thing somebody else likes. But I said, was it too bitter?
Yes.
And she said, yeah. So the problem is, it's a white tea. It's a very delicate tea. It can scald really fast. And this was a thing I didn't know. And apparently, so when I found it, it was at work. Somebody had bought it, and we always have grab bag tea supplies. Y'all, we got River on this show again today, so if y'all hear some snoring, it is that little tater tot, I'm gonna tell you.
She's between the three of us, just sprawled out.
Sawing logs.
Oh my Lord, it's too funny. We'll be sure to ask her opinion on the tea at the end of the show as well.
She has many opinions.
Because she's my lord, I can't even like.
Look, we made her self-conscious.
She wake up.
She's like, oh, they're talking about me now. It's probably because I stopped playing with her tail. I'm over here just slowly like caressing her tail.
She's
while
the
sleeps.
podcast dog.
Yep, she's pup podcast.
Pup
But yeah,
cast.
so like when I found that the white Christmas tea, it was at work and it was out of somebody had some left over and they were like, okay, whatever, it's free for all. At work though, like I was telling Emily, I think what was happening was that you turn the kettle on and half an hour later you come back to get a cup of tea because you've gone back to your desk to wait on the kettle and you're working and okay, so the water would not be boiling hot when you got to it. And since I didn't want to have to like have a wet tea bag at my desk, I would putter around the kitchen. So maybe I would put it in the cup and then go to the refrigerator and start throwing away expired condiments. Everybody, like when I first started there, people were like, don't touch my stuff. I was like, put a sticky note on it. If it's expired, it's going in the trash. It was gross. So I'll go in there and I'll start organizing stuff or cleaning off the table or doing something. And then I would take the tea bag out and I would go back to my office. So I think what was happening was inadvertently I was actually brewing that cup of tea the way I realize now that I like to have it brewed. But when I first ordered some and got it home, I was just like boiling that kettle and then putting that bag in and pouring that boiling hot water on top of that white tea and then letting it steep
Just bitter.
for just like 5 minutes or something. Like I would go off and do something and come back. And sometimes I would start drinking it with the bag in it, knowing it had been sitting in there and just not even paying attention to it. And so it was just so bitter. And I was really kind of like crestfallen. I was like, I liked this tea. What is wrong? And that's when I was like, okay, what is wrong? Something's wrong. And that's when I went through and did a bunch of stuff. Now, I had been to China a couple times, and there, people are drinking tea all day. I think a lot of it is because the water has to be boiled so often, like in so many places, unless you're drinking a bottled water, which most normal kind of just everyday people are not going to be paying for. They're getting their water either directly boiled from a little electric kettle, or they are getting it from like a big boiler that's in the room or in the building they're in or something, and you're just drinking hot water all the time. And so I think a lot of times, like, the reason why they're drinking tea is just to make the water taste better. It is a ritual in a way, and I just really got used to just seeing tea, smelling tea, having tea around all the time. And back then I wasn't as into hot tea. I'll just kind of, if I have to drink boiling hot water, it might as well have flavor to it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I have always drank sweet tea. As I got older, I realized I had a preference for certain brands and cuts of tea. So we drink Louisiana tea in the house now, which if you went 10 years ago to my parents' house and said, oh, what is this Lipton shit?
Yeah.
They'd have been like, excuse me? Lipton or nothing.
How dare
out
you.
Of here. I feel like Louisiana has just a really nice, strong flavor, and we put probably way more tea bags in there than anybody else that I know would put in there. I just like a really nice, strong cup of tea. I don't want to drink sugar water, and I don't typically put sweeteners into my cup of tea. So that's, to me, getting it right. Brewing it eventually, maybe not the first time or even the 5th time, but eventually brewing it. That's what I'm aiming for. So when I said, okay, here's what we were doing wrong, Emily, let me brew you one that's not
With the right amount.
or at least, but then she sniffed the pomegranate oolong and went for that one, so she got a good taste of that. I'm telling you, that one right there, that's a good tea.
I'll try it eventually. I just have to like not smell, because that's the thing with the white Christmas tea, is when it's brewed, the smell is
it is quite
it's
fragrant.
off-putting to me.
Yeah.
But I like the flavor of the tea. It's just hard to drink something and not smell it at the same time. So it's a struggle with that one. But when I can get past the smell, it's quite good. Which, again, Harney's and Sons. If you're listening, we really love your tea. Which tea are you drinking, Katie?
I have just generic. I think it's Harris Teeter
The tea
brand. It's a loose leaf jasmine green tea. Another one that I did not. I just assumed, I don't like green tea. I don't like it. It doesn't taste good to me. But the smell of it reminded me of being in China. And so I would try it over and over again and then just be like, I don't like this. What is up? And then I realized, like, I was brewing it too hot and I was steeping it too long.
Yep.
Because it's a green tea. So it's very much like the white, like,
Delicate.
It's gonna do what it wants to do. You just have to get in line. It's not a black tea where you can just do whatever you want. It's, yo, here I am, okay?
That's why I go with the black tea. It's easy.
But yeah, so I just figured when we were standing there, Emily and I going through and trying to figure out what we wanted, the smell of it, I was like, you know what? That'll settle that pizza. Pairing it nicely with the pepperoni, if I say so myself.
That's a good tea, though. I really like that jasmine.
It is.
Like, if I have to pick like a flowery tea, I say that with like quotation marks, jasmine is definitely my go-to flavor. Like jasmine and mint, amazing.
I love a mint tea.
Yeah, jasmine and mint, jasmine and green tea is also really good. There's a Earl Grey that's a creme de lavender. So it's got a fancy name. I can't remember what it is, but it's loose leaf Earl Grey with a little bit of like lavender and some other flavor in there that makes it have kind of a
Softer.
Yeah, like a creamier kind of flavor to it. That's really nice.
Man. Oh, God.
Love it. It runs in my veins.
Cut her
But yes.
open. She's bleeding bergamot.
I am currently drinking, I think, Irish breakfast tea right now at 8 p.m.
One of the ones we typically stock will have some darker breakfast tea because
Yeah.
I like tea like I like my coffee.
Dark.
You just robust and full bodied, we'll say. But yeah, so we'll keep that. We'll keep your Earl Grey
Earl
on
Grey,
hand.
yeah. And I like
we
to,
do mint medley.
yeah, the mint
That's
medley's
just
really
a
good.
mint herbal tea that I really like.
And it's caffeine free.
Yeah, so we like to have
So when I'm
that on
cold,
hand.
in the evening, I can have some of that.
And then some variation of a cinnamon black.
Yeah.
Just a black tea with some cinnamon in it. Like a red hot. Yeah. It's my favorite one to switch out for coffee. I'll do an Irish breakfast tea instead of coffee sometimes, but if I'm gonna I don't feel like brewing my own cup of joe, I'll just do a cinnamon black tea.
Yeah. I've been experimenting lately with Thai milk tea mix because I am a big fan of Thai tea with boba tapioca balls, which is a cold drink, I think usually, but you can also drink it warm, and you mix the powder mix goes in with a hot black tea, which I was like, perfect. And so I've been pairing it with my Irish breakfast tea as I'm using it as like a creamer.
Yeah.
But it's good. It adds extra flavor and a little sweetness, and it's quite delicious. So I've been playing around with those flavors a lot lately. So that's what we're drinking tonight as we sit here recording this post pizza.
I have a thought that I want to share. It was a thought that I had on Saturday when we were in the tea room, and then just now, Katie, when you were talking, I was reminded of it. But when I was in college, I took a spiritual development class, and it was obviously about growing your spiritual life. And one of the classes was about like your body and being aware of it, but also like food that we eat. And so my professor brought us all grapes, and as a class we like put the grape in our mouth, and then we just let it sit in our mouth, and we were just being very aware of the grape and its texture and the flavor of it and the temperature of it, just everything about the grape sitting in our mouth. And we talked about how easy it is just to mindlessly veg out or eat, because it's just kind of something that we have to do to survive, and same with drinking. And so when we were at the tea, Allie, you were talking about how it took like all of your self-control not to just gobble down all the scones.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, I feel that. It's so true, because everything was so tempting and so good looking. And that's when I thought about that, was like just being so aware of the food and just everything about it. And
Mindful.
Yeah.
And as you were talking about the tea and like just smelling it and how it feels in your mouth and then going down your throat, like that kind of is really just magical. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to try all these other flavors of teas so I can learn. And that's something that also I noticed, like when Joan was sharing with us all about not just the etiquette but the history of tea time and everything, was that it is truly an art form, and there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
A lot to consider.
And I think what's one of the really cool things that she shared with us was to not talk over your teacup. So, like, you are having to listen and think about what the other person is saying and what you're because you can't talk it over your teacup. So if you're sitting there drinking your tea, you're just sitting there, man. You're just, okay. Now, tea with other folks versus tea by yourself, definitely a different vibe. Hey.
But I like the way
they both serve their purposes.
Yeah, I like the way you described like having your tea though, because you were talking about like the experience of it, and, which is what you're saying, Emily. And I was thinking about how I drink tea, and it's not anything like that. And I was like, oh, that sounds lovely. That sounds so relaxing, and like you're like taking in the experience. And I am just guzzling tea to be warm.
Every cup or every sip, but like I said, at least that first one, or when I decide, I'm gonna, and this is one of the things I started doing in my daily little journal thing. Most folks are like gratitude, whatever, and all that mess is in there. But one of the pages I set up, gratitude is really hard because I'm like, if I say I'm thankful for my dog every day in a row, that's starting to look like I don't appreciate the other people in my life. And if they ever read this, we're in trouble.
I have such a hard time with gratitude journals. Like, I'm not good at it because I do the same thing. I'm like, I'm thankful I'm alive.
I got to take a shower today.
Yeah, I'm like,
I had to poop really bad. There was toilet paper when I got in there.
Very thankful.
Oh my gosh, flashback to 2020. Toilet paper shortage.
The 2020 toilet paper outage.
But one of the pages that I added here recently, because I was like, well, I keep doing these journals and they kind of peter out because I'm using other people's ideas for pages and things that they think or whatever. And I have learned after doing bullet journals and journaling for probably like 4 or 5 years now, like, I just need to do my own thing, and that's going to make me want to do it every day. And so one of the pages is, which hot tea did you drink today, and why did you drink it? And so sometimes it'll just be like AM, cinnamon black, I didn't feel like making coffee, you know? And then it'll be like, in the evening I'll put PM, pomegranate oolong, because I just wanted to feel special or something. I just had this moment where I was just like, I want a cup of tea and I want it to be just delicious. And so that's what I picked. If I just want a cup of tea and I don't want caffeine because it's 8:30 and I've got a full belly of food that I know that I probably shouldn't have eaten as much, or I've got like some weird sugar in there or something, I'll drink a mint medley cup of tea because I know that will settle my stomach, but it'll also help me like digest my food and all that kind of good stuff. So I try to see, like, when do I drink this and why do I drink it and what do I like about it. And I've been tracking the teas that I like for a couple years now, and not like that necessarily, but I try to make sure I write down teas that I like. There was that one tea shop in Alexandria that had
Tea and Spice Exchange,
that had a really good oolong. Oh boy,
man,
they had a delicious oolong there.
I love that place.
That was when I learned I didn't like rooibos tea though. Yeah, I am not a fan of that. Not at all. It happens. So you gotta try it out, because you literally don't know. You can smell something and think it's going to taste delicious, and even if you brew it perfectly, your mouth just goes, I don't want that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't want it. And sometimes, like at the tea party, the smell of the tea was almost repulsive to me. That first pot of tea, and that's we discussed this, it was like, I don't know if it had sat a little too long and gotten a little too cool for me, or if it had just steeped a really long time.
It's not warm enough.
The smell of it, which they had set out the teapots and then had to get the food,
and heard
that it was that way, but it just, that first couple of sips, I had to get over the smell. It smelled very much like liquor to me. Like a rum or something, like, ugh.
I smell vanilla extract.
So
like
that's
straight from the bottle.
So I was thinking amaretto.
Yeah.
Is that the right? Is that how you say that?
Yeah, amaretto.
Yeah. But like a sweet liquor.
Yeah, like a liqueur. And so to me, like, that was just like, oh, I don't want to drink this. But once I got it in my mouth, I was like, oh, this is quite nice. And it was another Harney Sons tea. What was it called? Fruits d'Alsace.
Yes, fruits. Yeah, that
one right there.
I thought it was actually one that I really liked. Which, again, I was surprised. The second pot
was better. Yeah,
and it was also
way better.
Warmer.
I think it was warmer, and it just hadn't steeped quite as long. Which again, you never know. Somebody may have really enjoyed it at the temperature and a steep time that that we didn't like it at. But the smell of it was very off-putting.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, oh, this is really nice. I will continue to drink it. You know,
That's me with the White Christmas. I'm like, oh, and then I drink it and I'm like, damn, it's good.
one cup. You almost can't have more than one cup, though.
No.
It is a lot. It's quite a bit, which is why I like it as a seasonal tea. But then I accidentally bought that giant bag of the loose leaf.
Yeah, we'll
And
have.
now I just have White Christmas tea forever.
We will have White Christmas all year.
I'm almost finished
for
with
the
my
last couple of years.
sachets.
Oh,
Like,
nice.
I've almost finished those.
Oh my lord.
And I've managed to give away probably half of the loose leaf bag. I don't know. I tried to tell people after I realized I was brewing it wrong. I tried to make sure that when I gave it away as a Christmas gift, I included brewing instructions to those individuals.
Smart.
Because I was like, if you brew this the way you think you should brew it, you're going to be like, this is nasty.
It's not going to taste nice.
I need to give it another try.
Yeah, at least one try.
Yeah. Just got to get past this for me. But like, I have a pretty, smell is a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything is just like slightly off in any way or unappealing to me, then fucking forget about it. It's not happening. But I did want to walk through the experience of going to Manor House and like what it was like rolling up on this beautiful kind of mansion in the estate in the country, and what that whole experience was of having tea there. To start with, why don't we, how do we want to do this? I guess we went.
Mm-hmm.
We did.
Yeah, we found it.
We did find it.
I drove.
Katie was the navigator.
I drove, which is a big thing for me, but I drove.
First off, let's start out how we got dressed. There, you know,
Getting dressed, picking the outfits.
Yeah.
I think that was maybe the thing that I
know I
seemed
sent them at least 2 Facebook messages about clothing and things like that.
I think we
because there was
were
some concern.
concerned about. I want to say that was the thing that probably I don't know about our other individual that came with us, whether she had any concerns about dress code.
Oh no,
But
no.
I was a little worried because I was like, I don't want to wear a dress. I will dress nice, but I was like, I don't want to wear a dress. It's just not me. But yeah, I would say outfits were definitely a concern going into it. Probably maybe the biggest concern going into.
They were super helpful. They answered me, if not immediately, the same day. Anytime I had questions about style of dress, and they even said most folks wear Sunday best, as we call it here in the South. If you're not from the South or are not familiar with that term, that just means just something that you have that's nice, that you think of, this is nice. I'm going to wear it out and show people that I'm recognizing that I'm not just hanging out on my couch right now. I'm not going to the store. I've dressed for an occasion. That is what I am dressed as. Sunday best, and that can vary, and they recognize that. So she basically said most folks will come in Sunday best, and it's really whatever you are most comfortable in. So I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I liked that because I was definitely like, oh my god, if I have to
tea length dress.
I was like, oh god, if I have to put a dress
on. Get my pantyhose on. But no, so they were really nice. And then we also had questions about, because it went from being like hot to quite chilly over the span of a week, and so just knowing what kind of clothing to have, what's the temperature going to be in the tea room. If we wear outerwear or something that's half in, half out, is it going to be okay to wear in the tea room? Is it going to be too hot? Is it still going to be cold? Like, how do we want to dress up
What's
in
the
there?
atmosphere going to be?
Yeah. So they were really nice about answering those kinds of questions. Allie, you had on a really pretty rose color, like a blush colored blazer.
Yes.
It's like one of my favorite pieces of clothing for you.
It's my go-to blazer.
Yeah, it's super cute.
It brings out the redness of my face.
A lot of mercy.
The cut was like perfect for
Yeah,
you.
no, it looks really
Thank
cute.
you,
It always looks really cute with
Thank
your
you.
coloring and stuff.
I felt like I was going yachting. I felt like if I had boat shoes on, I would have been like, let's get some champagne, go play golf, and get on the yacht. Like, I felt like that was in it.
Yeah, but you had paired that with a nice sweater and your nice jeans and stuff.
with no holes.
Yeah, they didn't have holes in them. Hey,
Felt,
Hey.
yeah, and closed-toe shoes.
Yeah, Sunday best. They weren't your Crocs. We're good to
Oh,
go.
but my Crocs would have gone perfect with the outfit.
They'd have been like perfect color.
I wore Crocs to my brother's wedding.
I know, but
with
you
that
were also
jacket.
taking the pictures, so
So.
you're running around.
It was great.
And it's in Nebraska.
It's Nebraska. They don't know what Crocs are there. Yeah. As soon as
Definitely not
as soon
in
as you cross
North
into the
Carolina.
Midwest, Crocs are no longer a thing.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yes, yes. And then let's see. Emily had on a really cute
Like sundress kind of
sundress,
thing? Yeah.
white with
Red
and pink
flowers.
flowers. Adorable. And at the manor house, they had a hat closet. So if you did not have your own hat for the occasion, you could venture into this Narnia-esque
Yes.
world of hats. And Emily found the perfect little white sun hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Very
just
cute.
it just matched perfectly. Jean jacket, your cute ass leather booty shoe things that you have.
I was so thankful for that hat, by the way, because I was so tempted to talk over my tea, and I really wanted to get that habit down of that etiquette of looking at my tea and being thankful to the grower of the tea leaves. And so I found myself while I was looking down, my hat hid everything. So I was like, maybe this is why
Made
people
you your
wear
own little tea
hats.
space.
Yeah, to tea.
Oh,
Hide
nice.
your eyeballs while you drink.
Like it. And then Katie had on, you wore
What did Katie have on?
tights, a
Did I have my black
black
tights
dress.
on?
No,
it was
purple
It's purple
dress, and that fucking
It's like a dark
green,
teal.
Emerald.
emerald
Gem color.
Yeah.
felt, not felt. Is it felt? What is it?
It's nice and soft and fuzzy.
I just do this.
Yeah. It's a really it's a polyester obviously, but it's like kind of what it is, a poncho coat,
Yeah.
and then it's just this really great piece that I picked up from a store that's local. They have it's a store that each week or a couple of weeks they will dedicate a portion of all of their proceeds to a certain animal rescue. And they always have just the cutest stuff, and it's all small batch things, and then they'll change it all up and they'll put some more stuff out, and it is just some of the cutest stuff. So the day I went in there and saw that, I was just like, oh, I'm taking it.
So comfortable.
But it's so hot. I am a warm person, and it is so hot, so I very rarely wear it. If I do wear it, I end up taking it off and hanging it on the back of my chair, especially if I wear it to work. Emily's been in my office. She knows it's like a million
so hot.
degrees in there. So I usually will take it off, but I was like, oh, we're going to this thing. I don't even have to wear a jacket outside. I can wear it. And then I was a little warm in the room, but I made sure to sit myself near the window,
Oh, yeah.
which is a little cooler. So I was like, okay, I should be all right. I didn't get to wear a hat because I had put my hair up.
Yeah.
Because we literally, we took the dogs for a walk, Allie and I, and then we got back and had maybe 10 minutes to put clothes on.
It was 3. I looked at the clock and I was like, son of a. And then I looked at my phone and there's a message from Emily that's, I'll be there soon. And I was like, that was 10 minutes ago. She's
Thankfully, Anthony was around. Oh, no, yeah, just come sit down and talk to you guys. That's okay, all right. And then we're like, all right, let's go. We got to get gone now. And then I just wore my pink shoes.
Pink shoes.
You look like a mermaid with all your colors.
I was
Those
going
are
to say
my-
a flower.
Well,
Because it was
so
like
the
very
purple,
spring.
the
Yeah.
purpley, and then the teal together, that's what I call my unicorn colors. Okay,
Yeah.
so anytime I want to feel like a unicorn, I wear some version of that. So I have a
Nice.
pair of teal pants
Yeah.
and that crazy, it's like fuchsia purple, like it's just a wildly bright wrap long sleeve shirt. And so anytime I really feel the need to just be like, I am me, that is the outfit I put on, and I will straight up show up to work like that and just be like, what? I am here now.
Let me be me.
But it also is hot, so I don't wear that shirt very often. But yeah, that's what I call my unicorn colors. And I felt like it was about to be just with COVID, I have not worn any of my nice clothes
Yeah.
Same.
almost
Yeah.
the entire time, and I have been slowly paring down my wardrobe and just decluttering in general. And the things I have kept are things I kept for a reason, and I really like them, and I refuse to get rid of them until I can fucking wear them. And I was like, I am wearing this today. I am doing it. Plus the purple, once you start hitting spring, that's a little too dark.
Yeah.
It's quite a dark dress. So I was just like, all right, this might be the last chance to wear this until next fall rolls
Yeah.
around.
So mindful and everything. I was like, These go together.
They won't kick me out of the house, I hope, for this.
I'll wear this.
Look, my jeans don't have holes.
I know. I was like, really? I was like, this will have to do.
Well, I thought about just wearing like my pink pants that I've bought. Just a nice pair of kind of pink slacks. Not really like dress pants, and then maybe like my blue sweater, which that's been my go-to. Like, it's comfortable, but I'm not in my leggings and undershirt top.
Yeah.
Which is generally how I go out in public these days, but I just know I have nice clothes. I'm putting them on my body. But then I was like, I don't want to wear like hosiery.
Yeah, no, that's
Where's
too
my tights?
much. It's too much.
Putting on my tights and my ugly bra because ain't nobody gonna see it.
We'll say it might be the first time I wore one of my nicer bras in a while.
Yeah. Those sports bras been getting a workout.
They've been doing all the heavy lifting, that's for sure. Boob jokes.
So our fourth member, she actually wore her hat.
Yeah,
she had a great
had-
little like brown ensemble going on.
It was a nice ensemble.
Yeah.
And then the house itself is huge. It was like the house was 9,000 square feet.
I don't know.
Yeah,
5
bedrooms.
8 bedrooms.
Yeah.
I heard 5, but yes, 8 bedrooms,
Well,
3
5
floors.
5
was
for
just
guests.
down on like the
Okay,
floor or
yeah.
something like that.
And then when you walk in, there's like a huge, not huge, but there's a nice spiral. I say that loosely because it's not a full spiral staircase. Pretty close. Chandeliers in every freaking room. Tea sets everywhere. Which
Can we talk about
Yeah.
the goose faucet? The golden goose faucet in the bathroom.
I didn't get to see them. I didn't get to see them.
It's fancy here. They got a goose faucet.
So ornate. Just everything.
Oh
So
my
ornate. I took a
God.
picture of it. I'll show
Oh,
it to you.
nice. Yes, please. Because I did not go to the restroom, and there were like too many. You have to book like a separate thing to do a house tour because
It's a whole experience.
Yeah.
I feel like, and especially the grounds too. If you plan on doing that at all, they really have to like, okay, here's what we're doing, because you got to remember these people live there, so they can't just have folks wandering around. I'm sure they keep it wandering aroundable.
Yeah, but they do all kinds of classes and stuff. And then the tea room itself was definitely my favorite part of the house that I saw because it was
All
just
bright and
open and bright
blue.
and windows and like the ceiling was like a very pretty blue color. And then each table, the way they don't do matching china across the tables. And Joan explained why she likes to do like mismatched plates and china and cups and everything, but there was a theme which was it was green. It was like light
St.
green.
Patrick's Day.
Yeah, so everything was green in some way or had a tint of green, and I don't know.
Everybody had a different teacup.
Yeah, and it was just like all the teacups and the plates and everything were just like freaking
It was
beautiful.
an adventure.
It was so
just
pretty.
picking your plate up to hand it to her to get to your next plate. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, look
What's
at that.
next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What's
can we
that?
talk about how Kelsey, she curated the whole menu
Yes.
to make everything green and
Like Irish
be inspired
themed.
by Irish.
Yeah, we had, let's see, our first treat were the scones,
Scones
Which-
with the clotted cream.
which
It was matcha green scone thing.
And it had fruit.
and macadamia nut?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And they were green. They were colored green, and they
Yeah.
were in the shape of shamrocks.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that was adorable.
And when you eat a scone, you break it into tiny pieces and eat it with your hands, and you do not dip your scone in anything.
There's no sopping of scones,
There's
Allie.
no sopping of any liquid when you're at tea.
The way Joan put it to us when Allie asked about it was, you know how in New Orleans they have like gumbos and stuff like that, and sometimes they'll just give you a piece of bread and no spoon. Your tea is not a gumbo or a soup, and your scone is not a piece of bread for you to sop it up with. And we
don't
were like, okay, all right, thanks, Joan. That was good. That was a good way of telling us no sopping.
Check. Not that I would ever do that anyways, because I am a cultured young woman.
Clearly,
But
obviously.
did have to ask the question.
You did have to. It was a good one though.
Well, I thought so too, but like,
No, she
okay,
answered.
Joan.
You know, she just answered.
I thought she was trying to be sensitive.
She was.
Yeah.
She was trying to.
But also explain.
no.
That was a good way to explain it though. Like, she could have just said no.
We
They
don't
don't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah.
But she was like, you have to think about
She gave us a nice analogy.
the way
to work with.
cultural traditions around food have evolved, and she's right. That kind of just the necessity of using the bread as a device to get the soup into your mouth
Is no longer.
You're not trying to do that with your tea. And this ain't no Dunkies, okay? We
No
Dunkin'
Donuts.
donuts.
Oh,
Cake donuts.
let's see. Our first tier of food was my favorite because
savories.
it was like potato heaven. We had deconstructed shepherd's pie
That was
on
so fun.
cheese crisp.
It was crazy.
Delicious.
I
was
love
quite
that
tasty.
sausage on the potato thing.
Yeah.
The Guinness sausage.
Yeah. This
That was
was
so good.
tiny potatoes with they had some shit in it.
So it's what you do is you take the potato out and you scoop it. So it's if you're making deviled eggs or like potato skins.
Nah.
So you'll dig out some of the potato and you'll mash it into something. And so it was the traditional Irish potato with cabbage.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Mashed.
Cabbage, yes.
And like a garlic butter or something.
Yeah.
And so then you dollop that back into the potato that you carved out some room.
Perfect.
And then
tiny
she had
potato.
the little pieces of sausage on there, which was
Yeah, that
quite
was quite
tasty.
good.
Those were my favorite.
Those were good.
Yeah.
And then there was something else on that tier. I don't remember what it was though.
Oh, buddy. Pizza talking.
But then the second tier was puffs. There was
spinach puff?
spinach feta puff, some kind of spread that was quite delicious.
Oh, yeah.
It was so
spread-
delicious.
It was
On the
really
piece
good.
of bread with the
Yeah.
onion on it.
And then what was it like a tomato and basil, just like little
Celtic
bread.
knot.
Yeah, like she had
Yes.
made Celtic knots.
Yeah.
We did learn, though, because our fourth is a vegetarian for health reasons, that if you have somebody, and they even mentioned that they weren't,
Gluten.
I think Joan was like, oh, I don't think we have gluten-free things on the trays today, but nobody mentioned they needed it, so, yeah.
But we
But
can
so,
do that.
but so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that if you were to tell them, given enough heads up, that they could accommodate
Yeah, eating
certain situations.
dietary
Yeah. But
needs.
thankfully there were plenty of things that were presented to us that our fourth could eat. And so when it came to the potatoes and stuff, she just gave me her sausages. I was real quick to be like, she goes, would you want to eat these? I was like, yes. Don't even
give those to
offer
me.
it to those two. No. Just to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was quite good.
But our fourth was our guest of honor because us three, we typically will get into some shenanigans together on the regular, and she just happened to be someone that I thought of because I just was like, she's a real cool gal, and I know her, she works with my husband, and so I just was like, I think she would enjoy this kind of thing. And so when we were like, oh, let's do it, and then I said, yeah, I'm gonna ask her if she wants to do it, you know? And she did, and she came along with it. So Joan told us, well, the person who's gonna pour your tea typically would be whoever is of higher stature or whatever in olden times, but in this case, like if it's your house, you would pour the tea, or you can honor a guest by having them pour the tea. And so we had her pour the tea for us for the afternoon,
Yeah,
so that was fun.
it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And then the final tier,
Oh yeah,
Desserts.
sweets.
desserts,
Which is
I was
kind
hurting.
of my least favorite.
mine too, honestly.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the savory way more than the
Yeah.
desserts.
And the
Which
scones.
the desserts were fine, but
I think she was trying to, mix it up. I think Kelsey was really trying to get into some fun kind of flavors you wouldn't normally encounter. And they definitely had some, it was different. But by the time I made it up there, like I was getting really full. If I stopped moving, I would almost halfway fall asleep. The carbs were hitting real hard.
oh yeah.
Yes.
And then some of that stuff, especially like the bread with the fruit in it, just the texture of it was it was like, oh, by the time I hit that, I was
Yeah.
like, ooh, this is hard for me to eat.
I
And it
agree.
wasn't the flavor necessarily, but the texture really was like, oh, this is real heavy.
Yes.
But that one thing did freak me out. It was
the
some
little cream puff.
the little cream puff.
Yeah.
I don't know what it
Oh, I
was
forgot
that
to
I
ask.
didn't like.
I swear to God,
about it.
I swear it was ginger. I think there was ginger in it. And that was a weird flavor. Just
Yeah.
it bounced off the tongue a little bit.
Yeah,
in
I don't know.
odd
And
way.
normally I'd enjoy some ginger.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it was about that. And I tried it twice, and it still was like I said, it wasn't bad.
Mm-mm.
It just I
It's
just
different.
didn't like it. I just didn't like it. It happens.
Yeah.
Can't win them all.
That's right.
And I was full. I did come home and eat an entire charcuterie
Yeah, I was gonna say you
plate
made yourself
by myself.
But it was like super impressive because Chelsea, who's the granddaughter of Kelsey, sorry, who is the granddaughter of Joan, made all of the food from scratch, which is super
It's
impressive.
a lot of effort.
Yeah. So that was a neat part of the whole experience as well. But yeah, you just got to sit there and try the food, drink the tea, and chat with each other, and chat with Joan, and learned how to put your silverware on the plate correctly, which was that's good to know because I'm like now I know if I want to if I go to an actual tea room again. And I'm done with my food, I know where to put my silverware so that they know I'm done.
Well, because it's so important. Because I know, like, in China, if you put the chopsticks a certain way on your bowl, then it's, like, symbolic of death or something like that. It's, like, dramatic. And you definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah, like a lot of people will put their chopsticks, just sit them across the top of their bowl when they're done, just not thinking about it. And yeah, that's considered to be very rude.
Yeah.
It's very rude. And it's just like scratching your chopsticks together. If you got some in a packet and you're like scratching them together to get the splinters off, what you're telling your host is that these chopsticks are cheap.
Yeah.
And you have to make it so you're not going to hurt yourself when you use them. So there are lots of little things that you do encounter out in the world that you wouldn't think about just because you don't do that in your culture. And yeah, it's really nice to have at least some awareness, but also at least a little bit of interaction with that kind of etiquette, because yeah, you can go somewhere and not just be worried about
Offending
I'm like
someone.
flinging my hand around in rivers, just mother, please
Dog's
just
like,
pet me. Please pet me. But yeah, so not just being really like freaked out or anxious about oh my god, what are these people gonna think? You're like, well, I'm doing the best I can do, and I prepared myself, or I'm trying to be aware of what other people are doing, but also being brave enough to ask a question that you think makes you look like a big dumb, but really it's a good question, and they appreciate that you ask that question, that you're willing to learn that instead of just being some big stupid fat American who's loud and is just like, what's this? Y'all ain't got no sugar and ice for this tea? Like we had to listen to the husbands do.
It was your inspiration for that.
We married to them, and they were having fun. They were having a joke. There are people like that who go to other countries and expect those people in those countries to act
Cater to them.
like they want them to, and you're like, no, you've gone there. Get a hold of yourself. So I thought it was really fun. It was really cool.
Yeah, I 10 for 10 would definitely do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Totally plan to. Like, I want to go back when everything is blooming and in full.
Oh, yes.
I want to see everything,
So
see the
my
gardens.
mom and niece, I told my mom all about our tea party, and my mom and niece are planning on coming back in June to visit. And I saw on one of the cards that I got from the manor house that you can book events up to 2 weeks in advance. And tea time you can do up to at least 9 people, up to 16. And so if y'all want to, we're going to need 9 people because my mom really wants.
We talked about it today at our team meeting for work. Emily and I did. They were all excited. They were like, oh. When they said, what did everybody do this weekend? I didn't tell them about me and Allie going through the phone book and looking up cool names.
Man.
I told them about tea time. I was like, nobody wants to know that.
It was so much fun,
We
though.
were nerding out.
It's the most fun I've had.
Hardcore.
The phone book you got delivered?
Yeah. When we pulled back up in the yard from tea time, there was
a phone book
a
waiting
Wilson
for
County
us.
phone book right there in the driveway, and I was like, why do they keep doing this? But then I brought it in and I sat it down, and Allie was reading her book or something in the kitchen, and I was just sitting there at the table, and I started flipping through it, and we're talking about, oh, these young kids don't know you used to have to look through the phone book.
Gotta look up numbers.
Yep.
And I just flipped to the back of the white pages, and there was a last name in the Y's that I was like, there's a lot of them. But I was like, that's a really different last name. I wonder where it came from. So and then I'm Googling origin of this, and we're like, oh, and we're talking about stuff. And then that starts a thing, and I told you, Emily, that I do it where, because I review all these different projects, I come across names that a lot of the time are, very different or old-fashioned, some might say, but it's because you gotta
Like Riotis.
like Riotas. And so that was the thing I started doing with
Sounds Egyptian. Like,
It's a name.
it's something. But so that was the thing we started doing with the phone book on Saturday. Was it Saturday night? Yeah, Saturday night.
That's how we spent our Saturday
spent
night.
a good solid hour. I was just sitting there flipping through the book, and I would be like, dude, let me tell you this one. And I wrote some of them down.
Yeah.
I want to say probably a good 15 or 20 of them.
As we were sitting there, I was like, yeah, this would be a great way to come up with character names for books.
Oh, for books and stuff. Totally.
Yeah, because I was like, that's something I struggle with.
That was one of the reasons I started it, was to give people baby name ideas. They never work out. Nobody ever wants them. What was the one that I found? Oh, man. Like Della May.
Yeah.
There's something about just one of them I got off of a gravestone one time, really old, and the friend whose baby had not yet been born, she's like, "Where'd you find that?" And I was like, "Oh, somebody's gravestone, man." She was just like, "It's a good thing I'm an archaeologist,
Yeah.
or else that'd be real creepy."
Like, what
I
are
was
you
like,
doing?
But yes, we made sure to tell people at work about tea time, and I think they would like to join us if we invited them.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a really good experience.
yeah.
I definitely will be going back, for sure.
And the vibe was super chill.
Yeah,
Like it was not at all like
Hoity-toity.
no.
Yeah.
It was a
Worried.
property, not in the English sense probably. Who knows what they would call a property, but it was nice. It was just enough pageantry.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I was definitely like nervous, as I am,
Yeah.
especially about not fitting in or being like not enough for the tea place and having to follow all these rules and stuff. And so it was, like you said, like the perfect amount of like instruction, because I didn't know what to expect when they were like, we're gonna have etiquette class. While I was like, oh Jesus, are they gonna like lecture us and have us demonstrate how to hold the cup and stuff, you know?
Oh my God.
I was like, that's, but in my mind,
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
thought it
yeah.
was gonna be, but it was not at all. That you, like, they started you off, they were like, yeah, if you have this type of teacup, this is where you're gonna hold, how you're gonna hold it, you can put your hand underneath it, don't talk over it, like just the basics. And then like we mentioned before, if you had other questions, they, like, Joan was more than happy to chat with you. And then of course at the end we got flowers, and we did take group photos, which I will definitely include on the Fun with Friends Instagram page. And I'm also going to include the social media for Stork's Rest Farm and their website, so you can definitely check out their stuff as well. And you know what? Even if Harney Sons isn't sponsoring us, I'm going to include their information too, so you can get some good tea.
Husbands are home.
The husbands are home.
Dogs might bark.
The dogs will bark. But before we go, I do want to ask Emily what a bucket list item is of yours,
part of the-
and why
part of
haven't
the
you done
pie.
it yet?
Oh gosh.
You'll be fully initiated once you answer this question.
Ooh, I've been thinking about this, and this has been like the most challenging thing to answer because there's so many. Really, I would say just travel. I would love to travel to China or to Australia, and the reason I haven't done it is just because it's pricey and also really far away.
And the world is,
In the world, we can't just do it right now.
Yeah.
especially Australia,
But yeah, so that would be
more travel.
yes.
Always a good one.
We gotta go to
Yes.
our place in Italy. We've decided.
Yeah.
There's a place in Italy we want to go to.
Yes, Italy. I want to go to France. So bad. So many good places to go. That's it. That's the podcast for this week. Emily, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
And
having me.
we're going to toss it over to Wibbles for a closing statement. River,
We
ma'am,
just missed her really good snorkel.
did you like the tea?
What?
Hello,
What?
River?
She has nothing to
No.
say. No comment.
She's just giving us the dirtiest looks.
Well, she was sleeping.
Dirtiest looks.
Now the dads are home.
And with that, everyone, get out there, try something new, and have some fucking fun. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
How do we define pop music? Are we all chained to the rhythm? What do we expect from our artists in an era that needs all leftist hands on deck? Why does every Carly Rae Jepsen album feel like a moral necessity? What can Britney Spears' career trajectory tell us about pressure and patriarchy? Will Rihanna ever release new music and pull us through the careening emergency that is American politics once and for all? Let's talk. The B-Sides is a podcast and internet home for progressives who love pop. Subscribe today wherever you listen to get bi-weekly musings about pop's place in our world and the music you should put in your ears to fuel your reckoning with the trash fires all around us. Hosts Becky, Hannah, and Mimi dissect everything about pop, from new music releases to old, misunderstood pop news. Listen to the B-Sides on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you find podcasts today. Go to listentothebsides.com for links and more. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to check out the Fun with Friends podcast on social media. We are on Instagram at Fun with Friends Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at FunFriendsPod1. You can also reach me by email at funfriendspodcast@gmail.com. And you can go to my website, cootscreations.com, for some fun little extras from the podcast. So definitely head over there and check it out. And as always, remember to get out there, try something new, and have some fun. Goodbye.